and I just thought I'd pop on and say hello. I've been a bit missing in action, and I might just wait and see if anybody is around that can drop in and say hello. If you can't hear me properly, just let me know. Um, so it's about 6 o'clock in the morning here. It's middle of June 2022, and I was going to do a short video about where I'm at with the channel, and I probably will do that, a pre-recorded one, but I just thought I would say hello and see how everybody's going. So, hi Holly, how are you? I don't know how you manage to always um, get my notifications so soon. That doesn't seem to be the way it goes, but I'm very good, thanks. How's the audio? Is that okay? So I'm looking a little worse for wear because it's early in the morning, and as you can see, it's winter and I'm outside. And I just thought that I would pop in and say hello because it's been a while since I've done anything. I'm good. I'm Holly's just asking how am I? I'm good. I think I'm going through a bit of a oh good, audio's okay. Good, that's good. Um, I think I'm going through a little bit of a burnout phase where I think because I've been doing education stuff, whether it be vegan education, and later on I've just been doing commentary on anti-imperialism and stuff. I tend to, I've been, I've been doing this since 2005, so it's about 17 years all up, and the vegan education was full on, like, 8, 10, well, 10, sometimes 12 hours a day, even, since 2005 with really no breaks. And I think I've just sort of reached a point where I need to, whoops, sorry, it's, I don't know if it's buffering a bit because as I've mentioned before, the internet connection here is not so great, being rurally. Yeah, it's about 6 a.m. here, yep. Hence the bags under the eyes and stuff. um, so anyway, yeah, so I've, been doing this, I've been doing stuff for a long time without a break, and I thought I probably should take a break and just and focus on some other things that I've sort of not been paying enough attention to, meaning the house and the land and stuff like that. Also doing things locally. I think I've been feeling, I don't know about you, Holly, but I've been feeling a little bit disillusioned with, I will say hi. um, I've been feeling a little bit disillusioned with the way the so-called left has been going, online anyway. I realize that that is a totally different thing in many ways to what's happening in real life. But, half the left has fallen off the tracks, I feel. And one has to question if they were ever really left. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know how you feel about that. Please feel free to leave comments about how you feel about that. Yeah, you too feel that way, Holly. Yeah. Um, so that because I was doing commentary on leftist journalism, because as you know I'm not a journalist, and so I was doing commentary on that. And because of that, because half the left now, probably even 60% of it, the so-called left, has kind of fallen by the wayside and grifting to the right and doing the obligatory transphobia that sadly those who are grifting to the right tend to do. They find you can bring in more followers from the right that way. Oh, hi, Furious Psyops. I can't see you as usual because, you know, again it says whatever the algorithm is or whatever it is that YouTube, the problem is with YouTube, we've been having trouble seeing one another's comments and seeing him online. So we have to sort of talk outside of YouTube because it just seems to interfere with, we can't see one another's comments. So I'm sorry once again, Furious Psyops, for not being able to see your comments. Um, anyway, it's very early in the morning, so I'm looking a bit worse for wear, so please excuse that. um, so anyway, yeah. I can't see what you're saying, Curious Sype. So I'm sorry about that. But I was just saying how the reasons why I've been bit missing in action the last couple of months. Um, and there's been some business stuff we've had to take care of, and also trying to hurry up and finish off the house. And we decided to probably reduce the amount of things that we were going to do on the house because of the recession that's taking place and uh, the inflation and all of that. It's sort of like throwing good money after bad in a way. It's like trying to buy things that are way too expensive. Even if you're doing it yourself, the materials are very expensive and all of that. So we've decided to just cut back on that and just focus on the lower part of the house and get that done, and then maybe never ever sort of do upstairs because it really, the inflation and the recession has to kind of end or settle down before we would get into that. So that's how that is. And let's see what else. So anyway, before Furious Psyops turned up, I I was just saying how the about 55-60% of the so-called left has fallen off the tracks and is grifting to the right and doing all of that. And what I intended when I turned, you know, when I changed from being just a vegan education person, even though I had anti-imperialist stuff that I was doing, but I wasn't doing it in a podcast. Um, when that turned into Faint Signals from Vega, which is veganism and anti-imperialism and other social issues, trans rights and all of that, there were more people that I could sort of tap into, listen to. I'm talking about journalists now and that. And but over the last 2.5 years, as I'm sure you've noticed, there's been a definite shift. It's interesting that it's happened with the Biden administration. I don't know whether it's been a slow news day for people and they've decided to start grifting to the right. And I know I'm simplifying this to some extent, but it seems like, that's. And let me know if I'm still here because, I'm in a rural location and it's sort of sometimes things drop out. So if I'm still live streaming, just say yes or okay or whatever. And let me know if the audio is okay too. So I'm just doing it on my phone as usual. So anyway, yeah, there was more. I felt like there was. Um, uh, I felt like online could have been a real a way, to reach more people, and I was trying to kind of signal boost certain journalists and whatever. And then this whole grifting to the right thing happened with about 60% of the ones that I was following. Fortunately, Abby Martin and Robbie Martin and Ben Norton and, the Breakthrough News, Rania Khalek and all that, fortunately, they are still okay and they're being true to, leftist principles and being independent and all of that. But there are a bunch of others that I'm not very fond of at all now, sort of thing. And you know who they are, I'm sure. Um, and I forgot to mention Luna Oy and EJ from Non Compete. They're great too. So I'm sure there are others. I'm not on board with everybody. I'm not Breakthrough News. Yes, exactly, Holly. Yeah, they're great. I'm not on board with everybody that's doing commentary online. Again, I felt like there was a sort of a good movement of sort of anti-imperialist journalists and leftist things online, and then it's sort of it's kind of I never thought that the revolution could happen online, but it's certainly I feel like there's been a number of people who have been traitors to um, to that revolution. Excuse me, if I can put it really simply, um, and uh, and they're worse than right wing pundits who are not interested in the masses. They're interested in themselves, and so I feel like when people grift to the right, and they were people that we trusted, that is worse than any right wing pundit, any of the Ben Shapiro's and all those kind of people who are very obviously where they are on things, and they're not trying to pretend anything. So that's uh, so I kind of am sort of a bit disgusted, and I've said this before, but a bit disgusted, and I just sort of I don't really feel like putting a lot of time into online stuff, also because of that, but also because uh, I've mentioned the oh, hi Michael. Because I've um, what am I trying to say? Because of the also the censorship that goes on with my channel, and I've mentioned recently in the community section that I did a comment on it was something completely removed from sort of anti-imperialism or anything. I did a comment on a video I saw of a band that I was in, and someone had posted a video of this song that I was in, this song I was singing in, the band, and I left a comment in this underneath this video, like a friendly comment. And I decided, because it was something that was completely again. I had another, I went under another username, and I went and had a look to see if I could see that comment, and it was completely invisible. There was only two comments there, mine and somebody else's, and I could not see it. And so that is, even in some sort of completely benign sense, when I make a comment, at this point it's completely invisible. And I know that's been happening because I can leave a comment, and Dee Dee will go and have a look and see if she can see it, and she'll see that she either can't find it, or my comment will be there'll be comments above and below, and there'll be dozens of likes of those comments, and my comment will have nothing. And I don't think it's because my comment was awful or anything like that. It didn't matter whether it was very encouraging and optimistic of whatever video I was commenting on or whatever. It didn't make any difference. There was absolutely no engagement with my comment, even though top and bottom people were saying similar things, and they were getting dozens of likes. So it makes me, this has been happening now for at least a year and a half, 2 years, but it's just gotten worse and worse now, to the point where my comments are literally invisible. They're not shown to anybody. And I think that's probably why when I have made a comment, there's no engagement with it, because it is invisible. So anyway, or pushed so far down the bottom it doesn't make any difference. Hi, falsificationism. So I'm just doing a quick live stream here. I was going to do an actual pre-recorded video and talk about some things, but actually I was really actually checking in on people, see how everybody is, because it's been a while since I've actually done either a live stream or a pre-recorded video. Hi, Wesley. Anyway, it's about 6:20 in the morning here in Australia. Um, excuse me. It's the middle of excuse me. It's the middle of winter. Please continue while I choke on something. Actually, it's not the middle of winter. If there's any buffering happening, because I notice it says it's reconnecting. So anyway, so yeah, the censorship thing with my channel, um, it's only a little channel, but like you like to think that if you're putting out something that uh, at least the people who are subscribed to your channel will see it. And I don't know if that is the case even, that most of the people on the channel see what I'm, because it's usually a very small percentage of the number of subscribers on the channel. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I doubt very much, going by when I make a comment on other channels, no matter who they are, no matter how benign it is, at this point now, it's either invisible and not shown to anybody, as I've just talked about with something that I witnessed myself. So one has to really assess, if it's actually a good use of one's time, between what I've just talked about half the left, which I call the faux left now, has fallen off the tracks and is grifting to the right, even putting and doing the obligatory transphobia and all of that, like Matt Taibbi just recently. I just thought how predictable. Um, and uh, and then there's this just the plain censorship of this loathsome platform, which it's ashes in my mouth having to deal with platforms like this, really, because they're just um, propaganda arms of the U.S. national security state and capitalism, and that's of course all just meshed together. I mean, imperialism is. The CIA is just the invisible army of capitalism, as Doug Valentine said in his book. You know, they're just together, hand in hand. So anyway, enough of me just prattling on. That's some of what I was thinking about just recently. But please, if you have any comments, if you want to say anything in particular, please do. And I always appreciate those who, sort of turn up and leave comments, and I really do. And, sorry, it's reconnecting again. So anyway, yeah, capitalism's invisible army. I never thought of it that way, as in the CIA part. That's really good, Holly. Um, so, anybody have any thoughts, or I'm not talking about just what I'm talking about, but just in general? Because I really came on here to sort of see how people are, just check in, and and so yeah. I mean, I don't know if anybody else goes through a bit of burnout. So if for those who have come in a bit later, I was just saying how I feel a bit burnt out because I was doing vegan education from 2005 to about 2017. I continued on doing it, but I was doing a lot of it, like, 12, sorry, you know, 10 to 12, sometimes even 12 hours a day from 2005, every single day, basically, for those, 15 years. And then I started the podcast, and I was doing one vegan video every 7. And then I, started to focus more on anti-imperialism. And after 17 years of doing that, and also just the different things that have been happening lately, including the recession and inflation and stuff, I just feel a bit burnt out, and I needed to take some time out to just regroup and to also start doing things. Excuse me. Yeah, the whole world's gone crazy and it's getting worse. Seems like we're heading to World War III, said Michael. Yep. Um, yeah, you have to kind of. I was thinking, I was going to sort of start developing some more local action. Sort of if you can't actually, if I found that what I've had to do over time is like it's like jumping from. I use that expression, jumping from one lily pad to the next. When they made it impossible from when they basically brought in the crippling algorithms on Live Vegan on my page on advertising, that's when I had to kind of think of some other way of, and that's when I started doing YouTube videos, and because it was too crippling, and basically it went from a thriving community and 53,000 and getting about 150, 250 a day, it just came to a screeching halt in 2012, and so I was doing a podcast online, Vegan Trove podcast, and I also have a How to Go Vegan podcast. I was doing that, and then I decided to do this in 2017. So I've sort of had to go from one thing to the next, and I thought maybe if I was lucky, I might be out the YouTube thing. I wouldn't get, it would probably not be as suppressed as it was with Facebook. Turns out it's as bad or worse. So you have to sort of keep evolving and try and think of ways that one can, in the tiny way that I can. What I've been doing, I have to think of ways to sort of like continue on that is going to be more productive and stuff. So I've sort of started doing more local stuff. There's that too. So that's the sort of way I've been going, because I'm sort of seeing that online, and you've probably realized this as well, that online is it's so, well, one, it's so toxic and it's so propagandized and it's so censored and suppressed if you're wanting to actually put out any real information, that it's sort of it's ridiculous how all those things, how bad it is. I'm sure you probably see that as well, how ridiculous it is now. Um, and and it just gets to the point where you sort of think this is not worth my time anymore. Um, High falsificationism, um, and Twitter is like just disgusting at this point. Like it's amazing how in 5 years, um, or in the last 3 years in particular, it has become so. Twitter has become so ridiculous. The propaganda is just, and we're all fed our little, we're all fed what we're all in these little sort of stalls being fed the things that we want to be fed, and everybody's getting their curated existence, their curated information. Um, it's so obvious. It should be so obvious. Everybody is getting their own special little curated thing by these social media, Silicon Valley corporations, and just keeping us all occupied with all sorts of ridiculous things. I mean, yes, there was some, like all the different celebrity stuff, the Johnny Depp, Amber Heard stuff, which is sort of interesting in some ways because there was it's put some of the Me Too stuff back with the, unfortunately, Amber Heard was found to be using defamatory statements and stuff like that, and that is really unfortunate. That's not great for women, as far as believing in women and what they say. There's that, but there's all these things that the media keeps throwing up to keep everybody distracted from the fact that the extinction is on the horizon. Even though there's moves to have renewables and electric vehicles and all that kind of stuff, it's all too little too late. But so there's that on the horizon, the imminent extinction, and here we are going along in this capitalist hellhole, as if it's not coming. I mean, that is correct, for want of a better word, crazy making to have that happening. Um, yes, they're just, and this war, of course, keeps people occupied. It's just one thing after another. It's just one shit show after another to keep people distracted from the real things that are happening, like the climate emergency and imminent human extinction, imminent non-human extinction, all of that. And also to keep, so that they can also, you're distracted from the wars, and they're using these January 6th hearings that, nobody's going to be going to prison, that the oligarchs are not going to be going to prison, even though they don't like Donald Trump. He's an oligarch. They don't want to set a precedent for oligarchs going to prison. So nobody's really ever going to. Oh, is it? Is it buffering? Is it bad? Sorry about that. Is the buffering bad? Because I might have to um, end the stream if it's bad. Because as you know, I'm living rurally, and it's not the best. Oh, is it worse now, or is it sort of? Maybe I'll move closer. A bit closer to the house, that might pick up the. Anyway, if it's bad, let me know, because I might end it if it's going to be bad. There's nothing worse than watching. There's nothing worse than watching buffering. As long as you can hear me, though. If the sound isn't good, that makes it sort of untenable. Um, but anyway, um, yeah, all the distraction of the media and stuff. It's not great. What time is sunrise? I think it's about 7:30, something like that. Um, and there's normally at this time of the morning, there'll be little patty melons out and popping around, but they're probably thinking, what am I doing outside? They come up and they have some carrots, and they have some pellets in the evening. And then, but in the morning, when I get up, I'll look out and I'll see them outside there. And the older ones come up, and they'll sort of look through the door, because the older ones, want to have a little bit of pellets in the morning. So I'm a real sap, and I'll just give them pellets whenever they show up. So it's like a smorgasbord here with during the day. It's like there'll be little older patty melons coming up in the daytime and having carrots and pellets and stuff. So usually at nighttime, there's about 24 or more. It's reconnecting again. So is it still buffering a lot, or because if it's buffering, I might end the stream if it's bad. So anyway, yeah. So that's the great thing about living rurally in Tasmania. You get to, and we've even seen a Tasmanian devil down the road there. In fact, the property that I live on is actually considered a sort of um, what is it? A special place for Tasmanian devils. Sorry to fetishize. I'm not fetishizing Tasmanian devils. The government fetishizes Tasmanian devils, and a lot of people do. But this area here is a sort of a habitat for Tasmanian devils. So that's an interesting fact. So that's a good thing, because then they're not going to be wanting us to be doing any clearing of woodland areas, because they're worried about fire. So there's some benefits in this fetishization of Tasmanian devils. So hold on a sec. So what do people think about things as they are? Anybody have any? I'm not talking about commenting on what I'm saying necessarily. Just what Just feel free to say whatever you wish to say. How you are, how you've been doing. Are you doing okay with the inflation that's happening recently, and uh, you know all of that kind of thing? Excuse me. Everybody's quiet. Is everybody still there? It's too bad. I don't know if anybody's. Oh, hey, what is it? I think U.S. is trying to tackle Russia and China at once. Yes, that's kind of sort of totally nuts. I feel optimistic, despite the fact that it's a worry, of course, when you have a sort of absolutely unhinged empire trying to overtake, um, trying to. I don't know how you actually. I wonder if you can. Oh, I see. You can. Um, Hang on. Before I say that, the inflation issue is deeply frightening. The U.S. is using monetary policy because it refuses to use actual governments to deal with the issue. So stagflation seems likely. That was falsificationism, and Michael said, doing great. Energy and fuel prices skyrocketing. The economy is tanking. Food becomes expensive, and all in the name of a war that has nothing to do with us. Yeah, that's something that I noticed that a lot of channels like finance channels or whatever, they don't really acknowledge the fact that their country, the U.S. empire, basically has really exacerbated. Of course, the COVID thing was the beginning of some well, not the beginning, but it added to the problems, and then this war, which was you know the NATO caused an existential threat to Russia, and sadly Russia invaded Ukraine, and it was sort of the result of mostly the result of NATO expansion, and it was an intentional NATO expansion to cause a regime change in Russia and destroy Russia, and that's the whole point of it all. And unfortunately, finance channels don't really acknowledge that because they wouldn't want to acknowledge or criticize the government over that sort of thing. And you notice, so they'll always kind of make a whole bunch of reasons why things are as bad as they are, which aren't the fault of their government. It's always sort of the war has caused a ripple effect, throughout the world with, agriculture, and it's causing famines now. Um, there's supply problems, which is causing inflation. There's all that kind of stuff. The war has got a lot to do with the inflationary situation and heading into a recession, and it may even head to a depression. Of course, in the United States, the government does not support the people. And so people are already in dire straits in the United States, most people, and then you have this, but they don't care, of course. It's like that. It's like oh, what was I thinking? I've lost my train of thought. Anyway, so I heard Graham Elwood say if Bitcoin drops below 15K, he's going all in. That seems incredibly irresponsible and misguided, but people are desperate. He lost his home in the last crisis. Yeah, I've been doing some research into crypto falsification, and about 4 months ago, was it no, about 3 months ago even, I was very cynical and fairly uninformed really about crypto, and so we decided to do some investigating into that. And I actually, I there are, of course, um, there's thousands of crypto, and there are some that are actual sort of scams where people are just using it to they're starting a coin up to kind of get as much money as they can, and then it fails, and then they run away with the money. There are I'm sure a few people like that, but there's some major players, like there's about 10 to 20 major players, and the major ones would be like Bitcoin and Ethereum, Cardano, Avalanche. What else is there? Um, Polygon Matic, Solana, those kinds of ones. There's others, but the major ones, but the very major ones, of course, are Bitcoin and Ethereum. And yeah, Dogecoin is a problem because I think, well, coins, the people who created them have different sorts of aims that they have. It's not just creating a coin for no reason. Um, Now, I'm not an expert in this or anything, and maybe some of the stuff I'm saying, this isn't financial advice, but I feel like just following some people like, say Gareth Solway, who's been doing trading for about 20 years, and is very good with technical analysis. Bitcoin is actually probably in the future is going to be like the what would you call it, digital gold, basically, because when the dollar goes up or down, Bitcoin, like at the present time, it's like a teenager. It's volatile. It's a new asset, so it's going to be volatile for quite a while. It's been volatile since in the last decade, and it's probably going to continue like that for another 3 or 4 years. But it's actually going to probably settle down, and with some regulation, just some, not enough to make it to affect the decentralized nature of crypto, which I think is a good thing. But with some regulation, that will actually bring in more people to invest in crypto, and it will become more stable, and people will have confidence in it, because at the present time there is very little regulation, and there's, if any, there's really none really, and also and it requires some for people to have confidence to be able to invest, and eventually people will have there'll be pension funds will be investing in Bitcoin and that kind of thing, and possibly even Ethereum, but Bitcoin, because it's it's going to be, as I said, according to technical analysis by Gareth Solway, he says, and other people, he says that it'll be like the digital gold of the future. And in some ways, after looking into it, and I remember I said I was incredibly cynical. I mean, I used to laugh about it and thought it was sort of a bit, sort of really out there. But I can see the value in some of it, and I can also see that Bitcoin is probably going to be is. And eventually, when there's a little bit of regulation and it's not so young as an asset, it's going to be a lot more stable, and it also is going to gain in value. And Bitcoin isn't the only asset, of course, that is suffering under this sort of market drop. It's a across the board market drop. The Nasdaq is fallen significantly. All the different assets, whether it's crypto or whatever, they've all majorly dropped. So it's not just Bitcoin that is dropping. So that's the first thing, and it looks like, according to technical analysis of the charts, it looks like Bitcoin will drop to 12,000. It'll have a brief rally, and then it'll drop to 12,000, and then it may even drop lower, but it probably will drop to 12,000. Now, that doesn't mean that it's finished. Even if it dropped lower, it doesn't mean it's finished. It just means, like what I've said before. And then it will probably start to, in a couple of years' time, it'll probably start to rise and continue rising, and it may even go, according to the charts, it may even go to 500,000 or $1 million. That's one Bitcoin. So um, don't consider this financial advice, but I'm just saying what I've just according to technical analysis of the charts and what I've seen, that's probably what's going to happen with Bitcoin. And it tends to, the other stronger assets will probably follow. They won't get to, $500,000 or $1 million, but they'll certainly rise and stuff. But, markets are always volatile. And so, and they all, just like every other asset that's falling, Bitcoin is falling too. So it's not something specially some special thing that's happening to crypto. But of course, like I say, it's a very volatile thing. It's also very young, and there's no regulation there. So, it's a sort of a very speculative at this point. But I don't think that's always going to be the case. Anyway, I hope I'm making sense. But so when I don't know. I'm sorry about the buffering. I don't know, Graham. I was thinking that that's probably not a great idea, the whole crypto thing and stuff. But now I actually don't feel that way, and I can sort of. He's probably. Um, um he's probably. Uh, he will. I think he will actually do quite well in the long run. Um, and when it's so volatile too, one has to kind of, like if people had sold, say, their Bitcoin at 60,000 and then waited till it dropped and then bought back, like it's around 20,000 right now, and it'd probably go to 12,000 in the next 2 or 3 months probably, and then it'll bounce back. He probably, if he sold it at the top and then he's buying at the bottom, that's probably a smart move, and he may end up being quite wealthy. I don't know how many Bitcoin he has, but he'll probably end up being quite wealthy. It's not really gambling, Michael. It's I mean, any stock can fall. What I'm saying is, any stock can clap out. Some stocks not so much, like the blue chip ones and stuff. But there's always an element of, you know, the markets rise and the markets fall, and with crypto, until they have a little bit of regulation, so that people can't, like for example, what happened to Terra Luna, people need some regulation to have confidence in something, and that's something that I think will happen. But who knows? It's just one of those things that one has to sort of wait and see. But I imagine, because there's been a lot of institutional investors now are investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum and other ones, Cardano and that kind of thing. I'd say because there is so much investment now from Goldman Sachs and all those different ones, the usual large investors, they call them whales in the crypto space, that they're not going to want that to fail. So and how these Goldman Sachs and all that, the different ones, they'll so if that makes sense. Well, anyway, I'm not going to get into, I'm not promoting crypto and stuff. I'm just saying that I don't think I think at this point, because there's so much institutional investment, and that there is movement to get some government, a little bit of government regulation, not to interfere with the decentralized nature of it, but getting some government regulation a little bit will make it more secure, and then more people will want to invest in it. Anyway, excuse me. That's all I'm going to say about that. But as I was saying, I was incredibly cynical about it about 3 months ago, and then I looked into it because I thought I don't really want to be just poo-pooing something that I don't know anything about. So we did a fair bit of research, and it's there's a lot of stuff out there which is fear-mongering, but there is more to it than what is out there in the mainstream media. So anyhow, that's all I'll say about that. So anyway, what else is there that's going on? Um, so I don't think there's much else I'm going to talk about. I really didn't intend to sort of prattle on about crypto and stuff, but um, I just wanted to sort of say that it's good to do research into stuff and not sort of just assume that what you read in the mainstream media and the corporate media is what it is, because they love to create drama, they love to create fear mongering, and there's, and I don't think Graham Elwood is silly. I think he did his research, and there was a while there that I thought, oh, Graham, I don't think that's a great idea. I think you're going to lose your money. But now I sort of, after doing research too, I don't think that's, I think that, it might end up, he may have ended up making a very wise financial decision with purchasing Bitcoin. That's what I think at this point. But expect a lot more volatility, and of course, it's one of those things. It's very speculative at this point without regulation. So that's the thing about it, isn't it? So it's not something you can like buy. I'm not giving financial advice. I'm just sorry, the screen is buffering, but I'm just saying it's one of those things that you have to follow carefully because it does not have regulation, any regulation at this point, which it kind of needs a bit. Anyhow, the last thing I thought I'd be talking about is crypto. Anyway, that's funny. Um, so. So anyway, it's lovely to see you all and stuff. It was a really spontaneous thing for me to 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 do a live stream this morning, and it's very early. The other thing that really concerns me, re-imperialism, is the absolute limitless spending the U.S. is prepared to do with the not a peep with about the additional war spending causing inflation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the inflation, like I mean, I don't know, it must make people absolutely furious to see um, the U.S. government just throwing billions and billions of dollars at this Ukraine thing, using Ukraine as cannon fodder, and and inevitably they're not going to win. This is just like trying to cause a Vietnam for Russia, really. That's all it is. And to wear it down. But inevitably, I don't think that, of course, there's no real winners in any war, but I don't think that Ukraine is going to win. And it isn't winning, and despite all the rubbish on corporate media, and a lot of people are dying on both sides. And it's really tragic, and I wish it would stop. I wish it would end. But the West just keeps throwing more weapons, more money, which is so disgusting. Gone are the days of diplomacy, because the U.S. doesn't want any, it wants constant war. It has to have constant war because capitalism, because, full spectrum dominance, you know. Yeah, government can do whatever they until the empire falls, until the U.S. empire falls. It's always going to be this shit show. It's always going to be, um, one war after another war after another war, and it's always going to be, if it's not. Have you noticed? I find it interesting. Have you noticed how the minute the pandemic started to kind of not be such an issue on corporate media, then there was the war. And then when that war starts becoming a non-issue, there'll be some other thing. It's almost like they just want us continually occupied with one thing after another, um, and hopefully there won't be you know, another pandemic waiting after this war. But I mean, almost to when I said I said to Dee Dee, when COVID started settling, and of course COVID hasn't finished, even though a lot of people sort of behave as if it has. It's still going on. But when it started to not be such importance in the corporate media, the next thing, this monkey flu came up, and I just said, how interesting how, then there's this other thing, not to get too conspiratorial, but, and I know that the monkey flu thing's been around for a long time, but it's like, I don't know, it's just one, it's just one thing after another, really, isn't it? Anyway, I really like hanging out here with you, but I probably should wind it up because I don't, unless anybody has anything particular to say about, excuse me. By the way, I haven't been following Jimmy Dore for a while now, for probably about a year or so. Are things improving with his channel at all? Meaning, is he still sort of doing grifty stuff to the right? And has he done more? I meant to go and have a look at his channel and see what he's up to. I was just wondering if he's kind of doing more transphobic stuff. But anyway, I don't know if anybody follows him at all or checks out his channel. Looks like the West is giving up on Ukraine and is going for a direct confrontation. China responds effectively, but China authoritarian. Anti-war. Well, I don't know. I haven't noted. I didn't know that what they're giving up on Ukraine and wanting to have a more direct confrontation. I'll have to look that up because I haven't noticed that. But I haven't been paying as much attention lately to that. So I'll have to look at that. Oh, is that what it is? Yeah. The reason I asked about Jimmy Dore, Michael, is because I I saw somebody sort of saying something on Twitter this morning, and I thought, and it looked like it was something to do with politics, and I sort of thought, God, what is it now? Run for president? Jesus God. Okay. Well, why not? Yeah. See, that's what I mean. It's just all, you know. Is he serious about that? Running for president, or is that just another kind of attention-seeking thing? Maybe he can get Rittenhouse to promote him. Since he was so supportive of Rittenhouse during the trial, maybe he can get Rittenhouse to help him campaign. Anyway, so I might wrap this up, and I might do this again soon, because it's like I say, I think I'm a bit burnt out, and also I don't sorry about the buffering. I don't feel I don't really do videos unless I feel I have something to say, and otherwise it just sort of feels like I'm phoning it in. So I sort of unless I have something to add to something, I don't, and I just haven't felt like there's anything I had to add to anything. I feel like the people that I tend to watch now are Multipolarista with Ben Norton, and sorry, Furious Psyops, if you're saying anything, as usual, I can't see your comments, so sorry about that. Yeah, so I haven't, so unless I have something to say, I just prefer not to take up anybody's bandwidth with just repeating stuff. So that's where I'm at with, and I've always been like that. I find it difficult to talk about stuff if I don't feel that there's something that I really want to talk about. Um, so hence I haven't felt like that in a couple of months, and so let's see. Yeah, a lot of progressives are pro-war. I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Um, Anti-vaxxers for JD. Anyway, okay, so thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that it wasn't too buffery and that the audio was okay. And I've been talking for almost an hour. Gee, I can manage. I didn't think I really had that much to say, but obviously my little rattling on about crypto. The Green Party in Germany, once the bastion of peace and climate protection, is now the most pro-war party. Oh no. Here and they are now getting us to restart the coal power plants. Nuts. Oh, that's nice, Holly. You're always so supportive. Thank you so much for being so supportive, Holly. I very much appreciate that. And to everybody else who's supportive as well. That's very kind. And the Green Party here is not much chop either, I have to say, Michael. Um, in fact, the leader of the Green Party in Tasmania, sort of she was saying rubbish and repeating some unhinged pundit on Twitter. And I said something back to her, and then she got really stroppy, and oh my God, like, just sad. She just repeats US imperialist talking points. This is the Green Party in Tasmania. And, the Green Party, the federal Green Party led by Adam Bandt here in Australia, he is, they don't really talk about imperialism, really. It's one of these no-go zones. They probably think it's a career killer to criticize the U.S. empire, and I'd say it probably is, but I mean, how on earth anybody can ignore the fact that we're being dragged into this ridiculous confrontation with China, Australia, and this will include Albanese, the new Prime Minister of Australia. He's from the Labor Party. He's not going to push back against U.S. imperialism. He's not. He's going to. He gets his marching orders. He gets the things that he's supposed to put out about China. And in some ways, he's not as bad as Scott Morrison. He tries, because China is a major trading partner of Australia. So he's sort of like doing the bidding of the US to some extent, but also trying to walk this fine line with China. But that's not going to cut it. And if the government in China is absolutely, totally, knows that we're just a US lackey here in Australia. But, if there was ever a war, I mean, China could finish us off in a weekend. They're a nuclear power, and there's more people in Shanghai than there are in the entire population of Australia. That's what's so funny about it. It's almost comical that here we are saber rattling at China, and they've got more people in Shanghai or Beijing than the whole population of Australia, and they're a nuclear power. So I mean, it's just laughable, this sort of and this colonialist attitude we have to the Solomon Islands, and you can't make alliances, you can't have a suffering. If we had any sense, we would be, because the multipolar world is where it's at now. The U.S. empire is in decline, and it's also, eventually China is the digital yuan is going to be the currency that people are going to deal with. The U.S. dollar is on its way out. And, the Chinese yuan is going to be king in the future. Even Saudi Arabia can see that. Even though Saudi Arabia is one of the awful head-chopping monarchies, one of the U.S.'s allies can see, though, that China and that is becoming a multipolar world, and they're starting to do deals with China. So, you know, it's sort of Australia sort of hanging on to this outdated and destructive and violent relationship with the U.S. empire. The politicians are only doing that as a career saver because they know if they go against it, what happened to Gough Whitlam will happen to them. And Gough Whitlam was a socialist democrat prime minister who was doing all sorts of good things, wasn't a warmonger. Um, he was really great on Indigenous rights here in Australia. He had helped bring in free health care and all that kind of stuff. And because he wouldn't play ball with the US with their imperialist aims, he was against the Vietnam War and all that sort of stuff. The CIA, and they admitted it later, helped get rid of Gough Whitlam. But he was one of the best prime ministers we've ever had. And it's, as I've said many times on this podcast, it's been a neoliberal shit show ever since he was ousted. He didn't get to finish his term, and the CIA admitted in helping get rid of him. So there was a coup d'etat in Australia in 1975, and I was alive to see that. My parents were very against Gough Whitlam. They were very conservative, and it's sad. They always used to slag him off, and I could never see what was wrong with him. But anyway, turns out he was the best prime minister we ever had, and that's what happens, if they don't need to assassinate people generally anymore. They just, they've got so many tentacles in, no offense to octopus, they've got so many tentacles in everything now, including Operation Mockingbird and controlling, having CIA plants in all the different corporate media, that they can, they can get rid of people easily through so many other means now, as well as the NSA surveilling so much of the communication of these leaders and stuff. I'm sure there's a lot of extortion going on and blackmail and stuff like that. Lots of it, getting people to do what they want. Anyway, such is life, isn't it? And that's why we need to be living in the moment and appreciating all that is around us, because it's beautiful. I mean, the sun is coming up now here, and it's so beautiful where I am, and being in the world is a wonderful thing. It's being alive is wonderful, and being in the present moment. There's nothing to fear in the present moment, basically. So, as Eckhart Tolle has said. So anyway, that's what we know, apart from working towards peace and stuff, we need to try and be more in the moment and appreciate what the reality of this present moment. That's really it. And falsificationism said, remember 4 years ago when the IPCC report said we've got 12 years to act aggressively? It tortures me to think it'll at least be another 2 or so years for the world to act on the climate crisis. Yep. Yeah. Yep, it's very, very sad. Such a beautiful world, and look what we're doing to it, and look at the main source of violence and destruction. The U.S. empire is just going on like a plundering monster, and we're having to deal with that at the end of our existence. But it's on its way out. I feel optimistic about that. The U.S., if it doesn't take us all out, for all the problems China has, it actually tends to be more of a building up nations and assistance and all of that, and making connections and friends with other nations. And I think that's, oh, listen, there's a kookaburra in the background. I don't know if you can hear that kookaburra. The China has this tendency to, use carrots instead of sticks, and makes friends with other countries and tries to support them, like supporting Iran and supporting Venezuela. And also, there are more leftist leaders, leftist-leaning leaders in Latin America. The most recent one being Colombia, and I know that he has his work cut out for him, and I know there's some problems with him. But there's all of that. There is a, as Ben Norton, where he rightly called his news outlet multipolarista, because it's becoming a multipolar world. That's exactly right, and that's why we should feel optimistic. So, and of course, there's two things happening. There's a move. Young people are seeing that capitalism is ecocidal and it's anti-people, and so there's a move away from, there's a lot more young people realizing that this is a problem, and leaning towards socialism. There's a multipolar world happening, with all these countries moving away from the U.S. and isolating the U.S., and that I see that as a very, very positive thing. And if the U.S. doesn't take us all out in a mushroom cloud, I mean, that could happen. They might think, well, if we can't rule the world, then we're going to take the world with us. They could do that. But if they don't do that, then we have this multipolar world, and hopefully it's not based on capitalism. That's all I can say. We need to get right away from capitalism, and and this whole power thing. I don't want there to be powers in the world, like major powers. That needs to go. So anyway, but I have optimism, even though I sounded in the beginning like I don't. I do have optimism with how things are going. I I think there was a turn, a real sort of a critical mass, a change that happened about 2 years ago, and I feel like now um, the tide is turned and it's actually moving towards some good things, even though, of course, we have the worry of what the U.S. might do if it looks like it's losing, which it knows it is. I'm talking about the empire now. So there's that danger, but also there's a lot of really good things, really good movements that are happening, that are leaving the U.S. isolated, the empire. So anyway, I better go now. So it's I've been on over an hour. So the sun's coming up, and the birds are going to start gathering and doing their thing, and the paddy melons are going to put themselves to bed because they're sort of more nocturnal. So I hope that you're all doing okay, and enjoying life and staying in the moment despite all the craziness. And I wish you lots of love and happiness. And I'm not going away, but I just wanted to explain what I've been doing, what I've been doing, and my thoughts. And one has to take care of one's mental health. As you know, I've had depression in the past, but I haven't had it for a long time. But sometimes, you just have to be careful when you're prone to that, to not sort of to take care of yourself and stuff. And so that's what I've been doing in the last 2 or 3 months. And but I'll be putting out, I post regularly in the community section. So I'm still around, and every so often I might do a tiny little snippet of some video that I think is good. And maybe in a 2 or 3 months I might start doing some more videos. I don't know, but just to let you know that I'm still around, and that I'm so grateful for the people like you, Holly, and all everybody else, Dawn, and all whoever is in this live stream. I appreciate you all for sticking about and also commenting in the community section. Just know that I'm having good thoughts for all of you. So thanks so much for watching, and till next time. I'm not sure exactly if I'm able to turn this off, so I'll have to see if I can. So my love to you, And let me just see if I can turn this off. I think I have to click here. Okay then. So much love. Bye for now.